Patrick Reusse, Rap with Reusse, Sands, Mackey, and Judd. Pat, I saw your tweet last night, and I think you had the same fear that a lot of Twins fans had. You were this close to having to apologize for your love of Jorge Lopez when he put a couple ducks on the pond, but Tim Beckham saved the day.
And then, of course, what I was complaining about him is not throwing his fastball enough, and he got out of the jam yesterday by throwing a lot of breaking, throwing changeups and stuff. But yeah, that was, quite a double play that was started by Tim Beckham. Had he ever played first base in his life? I don't know.
I think 13 games at first in his career. That's it, 13. So just a few.
Yeah, and that was a good way to end the game because that was he has not looked dominant. Let's say that way. I love his stuff, but man alive, that's all we need is another heartbreaker closing games, right? With the collection they've had. But of course, I had chest pains half the night after Kepler got 2 hits to left field. I wasn't prepared for that. I'm too old to watch him actually discover left field. I had a fun little tweet that got some big business yesterday because I pointed out the great European, discoverers, Magellan and going across, finding the Pacific and the Atlantic in 1520 and Cook finding the islands up there at Antarctica and then Kepler finding left field. That was the other one. So he went back to hitting the double down hitting the right corner. But I think that when we all had given up on him, somebody got to him yesterday and said, hey, if they're throwing a pitch away, try to hit it the other way. And it won't last. It's like Sano, it would happen for Sano every once in a while. He'd get a hit to right center, but he just couldn't convince himself that all those free hits out there just weren't his deal. So I don't think Kepler will probably be convinced, but it certainly helps that he wasn't the automatic out for an evening.
I heard it was the haircut because he had a nice little haircut after the 0 for 28 streak. He came back home and chopped the hair off and made it a little clean cut, and that's what struck a three hit night after going 0 for 28. Just a
I thought it was 9. Streak. I thought it was 9. I think it was 29.
Yes, it was 29.
0 for 29. But he also went 0 for 28. I mean, that's true.
It's true.
I mean, you can, but yeah, it's Kansas City. Kansas City's got some young guys. They're gonna be a little better in a year or two, but they're not quite ready now. You got to beat them. And Joe Ryan, okay, nothing special. He was okay, but you gotta win that game and to get all that bad taste out of your mouth. They're 2 back, tied with the Mighty Whiteys. What a win for the Mighty Whiteys, huh? Trailing Houston 2-0 going into the bottom of the 8th. I was watching some of that, and that Ukuri or whatever his name is, he had him shut out going into the 8th, and they hooked him and brought in this guy Montero, and he gave up 4. And Whiteys are they starting to play a little better? First time they've been 4 games over all year.
Pat, did you see the clip yesterday at the White Sox game of the fan telling Tony La Russa what to do and putting Adam Engel in as a pinch runner on second base late in the game?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a fan probably 2 rows up from home plate, and he's yelling, Tony, put in Engel. Tony, you need a fast runner on second. Tony pauses the game, goes out to the dugout, and sends Adam Engel out to second base, listens to the fans. So the fans are running that asylum right now. God, it's amazing.
Well, that's one of my favorite stories is when Reaver was in the dugout and some twin started off the game with a double, and Earl, being crazy, saw Larry Heisel walk up to the plate, decided to walk him in the first inning. Except once he got to 3-0, Jim Palmer said, hey, so Earl was walking the wrong tall black guy. So So we gave Earl a little hard time after the game about that one, and the Twins actually won that game. So that was fun.
Pat, what do you think about Joe Ryan here? He has that great kind of deceptive fastball, but I think it's clear as time has gone on, hitters have kind of figured out a way not to chase against him. I feel like if he goes into this offseason, I feel like priority number one for him, he's got to develop some type of off-speed pitch to get legitimate outs, not just from that fastball.
I don't think there's any doubt about that. He doesn't throw a changeup, does he?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so. I mean, he throws a breaking ball, but I think he's going to have to probably develop a changeup and get him off that fastball, because the fastball is only 93 most of the time. Once in a while 94, but mostly 93, often 92. And it was interesting to me how everybody thought, okay, there was some deception and the ball got on people quicker than they thought it was. Well, we've seen that before. And even people used to always adjust, but they adjust much more rapidly now with all the, all the videotape they can watch of guys and everything else. So it's, I was, it's a good idea not to get, unless it's Dwight Gooden and he comes out there as a 20-year-old kid with 3 great pitches. They're gonna have to get these guys. They can fool them for a while. Duffy, his first year as a starter, he had 9 straight good games with that curveball, but the next year his ERA was 6.5.
That's right.
Trying to throw that curveball, and fool them with the curveball. So people do adjust, and he's okay, but he's not a phenom. And with that assortment he has now, he's never going to be a phenom. He's going to have to, as you say, he's going to have to get a better mix of pitches.
And Pat, who knows if this team will actually be able to catch the Guardians and actually get back in the division lead. But if they do, if it's game 1 at Target Field in the playoffs, who would you turn to start your game 1 for you?
Tyler Mahle, followed by Sonny Gray, followed by, whoever, Joe Ryan, obviously, ahead of Bundy. And I don't know, are they going to, is Louis Varland going to be here by then? The kid from North St. Paul pitched a big game. He's throwing 99.
Yeah,
he blew him away the other night for 6 innings. He comes from quite the family. I did a piece on him last year. His brother's in Gus is in the somebody Texas's system or something. But they had a big family. They were brothers, the best of friends, but also the greatest of rivals. I quoted his mother last year as saying they were the best thing that happened to each other because they just competed to everything they could. And it was a big triumph for Louis when he became the first Varland to throw 100. And what the hell? If he has about 3 good games over there, you might as well take a look, right? Because he got the great arm. He was their minor league pitcher of the year last year out of nowhere. And you got Balazovic with a 10 ERA, and the kid, the Woods is the Richardson Woods. His numbers are fairly good in Wichita, but they haven't promoted him at all. I don't know why they haven't promoted him, but Louis might be that might be the guy we get to see here, because Winder's stuff. He's been hurt a little bit. I really liked him at one time, but his stuff didn't look extraordinary here the last 2-3 games before he shut down again. But that's 2 years in a row where he shut down. Did you see the other kid, Canarino, was having Tommy John?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, I mean, he started having elbow problems 2 years ago, right? Okay, we can rehab this. We can rehab this. We can rehab this. So they waste 2 years and then give him Tommy John. He'll be 28 before he pitches in the big leagues. 27. He has really good stuff, but it's an inexact science, keeping pitchers healthy. That's for sure.
It feels like too St. Paul might actually have some pitching reinforcements. They had that Evan Sis kid who was a kind of a crafty submarine lefty. I think they got him in the either J Happ trade last year. I forget one of the slappies they sent away, and he's actually been pretty damn good for him.
I'm surprised they haven't tried him. He's like unhittable over there, right? He's got a 1 ERA or something, and you would think that they might look at him. And Aaron Sanchez is who knows? I mean, he had 5 scoreless the other day.
Yeah.
You don't know who they're facing, but they. It is interesting that they pitched him over here. He pitched okay. They DFA'd him. He signed back over there, and nobody. As hard up as teams are for pitching, if anybody was impressed with his stuff that day when he pitched for the Twins, he probably would have got taken. So it's but yeah, there might be a little reinforcements over there because they shouldn't be done yet. That's for sure. I think what is it? Amelia's got to be one more disaster from being released, right?
Yes, I think so too.
I mean, they hate to admit that they're wrong, but it's got to be getting close here, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so too. And if Sis comes up here, I mean that's a second lefty. I mean, my God, Caleb Theobar. I mean, another unbelievable performance.
What has happened to him since he came back from he's unhittable. He's throwing 97 and then he's throwing 73 and he's just blowing guys away. What the hell happened?
Yeah, that big looping curveball that he just drops right in there. And then I have no idea where this added velocity has come from.
Well, last year he had it and then he didn't, but it's like I know when he blew him away the first time out, Baldelli's quote, when he came back was, "We've been looking for that all season." And
right.
But his stuff is, I mean, you and I are on the same page there. I've been saying, what the hell is this?
I know.
He's just sitting them down. Last night he came in a big situation and boom, boom, 295s and then that big looping hook. It's pretty much 2 pitches now, isn't it? For him, the fastball and then that thing.
Yeah.
So it's always amazed me how that pitch is impossible that these hitters can get geared up and then here it is and they can't, it's like, I guess it's like position players pitching when they try to kill the ball or something. But Theobar's been terrific since he was injured, whatever the hell that was. But since he came back.
2 games with the Royals still left here, Pat, and then they have an off day Thursday, and then Texas comes, and Rangers just fired their manager. They fired Chris Woodard yesterday, so they did a managerial change.
Well, they were a little upset. They spent 600.
I think it's like half
million. They spent $525 on the 2 infielders, and then they spent a ton on John Gray too. Right, there's a pitcher, over $100 million on him, and they're better than they were last year, but they still stink. So they're not doing well. But the greatest thing in baseball, how about the Yankees?
Yeah,
I watched the Rays shut them out last night. They're 10 out of 12. This is when the New York tabloids, which aren't what they used to be, obviously, would have had George all fired up to threaten. He wouldn't have fired Boone yet, but he'd be threatening him publicly. Yeah. You need that owner. You need to get that owner back who threatens his managers publicly in the public prints, like George used to. George would be threatening Boone to get him out. George was the craziest. The best thing that ever happened to the New York tabloids. And he loved being on the back. Boss says this. He loved being on the. It used to be funny covering games there, Mike, Declan, because they would, the game would end. 2/3 of the media would go downstairs, but each one of the New York papers would have somebody wait for George to come out of his booth there and get the George quotes after the Post, the News, even the Times, Newsday, those 4 papers. Somebody had to talk to if they lost or something, if anything that had an outside chance to be controversial happened.
Right.
They had. Each of the paper had a guy there go wait and talk to George, and George had come out of he was out at the same press box level up there, and George had come out and they'd try to get him, they'd poke him and try to get him to go nuts, which he would about half the time. So my buddy Tom Keegan worked for the Post for a while, and he was a great Post. He'd been in other papers that didn't quite take it, but he was a great Post guy, right? Mm-hmm. And when Strawberry was here, with the Saints, they loved Strawberry for the back page of the Post. They loved Strawberry controversy. Of course. And basically, he came out here for like a week, and wrote nothing but strawberry. The Yankees need strawberry stories. And then he left for a week. Then he came back for a week. And I said, what are you doing? He says, we're gonna pound George with strawberry until he finally has to call him up. And he did. Like, he was only here a month, right? Then he went to Columbus. They signed him for Columbus, and he was only there about a week, and he was on that World Series team. That I mean, he contributed to that World Series team.
Right.
But Keegan's job was go out there and drive George crazy, and he gets strawberry. His boss told him to go drive George crazy and get strawberry back.
That's incredible. Pat, all the craze, speaking of New York teams, on TikTok and on my Instagram feed is, I don't know if you've seen this, but the Edwin Diaz intro when he takes the field at the Mets, the trumpets that they play, his intro music, it's incredible. And the fans just eat it up. It's these vuvuzela trumpets, and he trots out to the bullpen, and the entire New York crowd is just going crazy playing a fake trumpet. And Edwin Diaz trots out there. It's just amazing.
Mets are having fun, man. That's apparently the Braves killed them last night, but apparently they're taking him. I saw him trying to finish a game the other night, and he did finish it, Diaz, but I didn't see him enter. I saw him. Oh. He was actually walked a couple of guys and was making it an adventure. But that's great because having the Mets back, you've seen it. You saw that documentary, right? The one about the late 70s Mets.
Yeah, the 30s. Yes. Yeah. Phenomenal film.
And it was in New York, but New York when it was at its worst for, being downtown. And I was roaming around down here in the 70s. I didn't think it was that bad. What the hell, why would they hit me over? Why would somebody hit me over the head? I don't have any money. What the hell? It never bothered me in the 70s, but it bothered a lot of other people apparently. So
Vikings and 49ers joint practices start tomorrow, I believe, Pat. They are off today. No practice. They gave them an extra off day, but then the Niners come here. So Kyle Shanahan, no Garoppolo. Apparently, I believe Garoppolo, even though he's technically still employed by the Niners, is not traveling.
No, they told him he could go find a job, right?
Right, pretty much.
They're trying to get rid of him. So Trey Lance might play a little in the morning. He's not going to play in the game, but he might play a little in this stuff. I don't believe in these scrimmages, man. I don't believe it's a good way to get, somebody gets hurt in all of these things. I just don't see it as a good way to get injured. I don't see the object of it, but it is interesting that they've become like you're scrimmaging somebody who comes to town or you go to town there. So you scrimmage for each other and then you play each other. Aren't you screaming for cheap shots? Right. I mean, because some resentments are going to be built up during the two scrimmages, right? And then all of a sudden the guy gets a chance to take a cheap shot at you in an exhibition game. I don't think it's worth the risk myself.
I'm just curious with the two long lost love, Kyle Shanahan and Kirk Cousins. I wonder if they'll sit down and have a nice little Applebee's dinner or something here in the next few days, reminisce about the good old days.
I think that's overrated. I think he's happy to be rid of him, even though he didn't say that. But that's it becomes the narrative, and maybe. But it isn't going to be Trey Lance. I mean, I tried somebody, and I don't know where to go to get this because I can't go through. I wonder how many starting quarterbacks in the NFL, and I mean starters, not for one game or something, are Minnesota high school graduates.
For NFL, for college or NFL?
How many NFL starting quarterbacks have been Minnesota high school graduates? I tried the Hall of Fame and a couple of. I tried a couple of NFL websites, and they, it's. I don't know how you find that, but there haven't been many.
Yeah, well, Trey Lance, Todd Bauman, right?
Bauman played some.
Some.
How many starts did he make? 15, maybe.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's a good one.
Bauman's a good one to come up with. I'd forgotten about him, but he would qualify as. I don't think any team ever said you're our guy, right?
Yeah.
Did they?
No,
But
no,
he was
not
a
at all.
backup, and
He was a backup.
He wasn't a Dante's backup one year when Dante
Yeah.
got hurt. He started a couple of games,
Yeah.
but I bet there haven't been many that have,
No.
many that have started 10 games or more. Let's say 10 games or more.
It makes me sad thinking about Bauman because as a fellow St. Cloud State Husky, it still pains me that there's no football up there, and they have that great stadium that's right along the river. And I don't know what the hell they're doing, utilizing it for just soccer and dome stuff. I mean, it's legitimately, you've been there, right, Pat?
Yeah, it's a nice
the riverfront. It's
it's
legitimately one of the nicer football stadiums in the state.
Yeah, it is. It was ridiculous, but you got an administrator. You got a football hating administration, and that wanted to. I don't think they believed in the violence of the game and that kind of nonsense. They got a president and a AD. Did the AD left, right?
AD left. Heather Weems is now she's running the NCHC. Josh Fenton left for the Mountain West. I forget. He's now the director at another D1 conference, but now Heather Weems, the former athletic director at St. Cloud State, is now running the NCHC conference.
Mountain West. That means he got hired by Craig Thompson, probably, who's a Minnesota boy. But it is amazing that they got away with it. But they were dedicated to the idea that this male macho sport had to go. So
I didn't like either.
But I mean, the other school that dropped football, Crookston, that was a good decision.
That was a good decision.
For the safety of other human beings, they dropped football.
I don't think in my 4 years there, and I covered almost every St. Cloud football game, I don't think Crookston won a game in 4 years. They were brutal. My favorite one was St. Cloud's baseball team was pretty good too when I was there. And we were playing them in a no-hitter, and we no-hit them in the first game. They were so disgruntled and pissed, they just forfeited and left for the second game. They said, screw this. We're not going to do it again. We're going to get no hit again. We're out of here. Good for Crookston.
That's well, they had a basketball coach. They've won a couple of basketball games here. Kelly Reusland's daddy still coaches the girls team up there, I think, at Crookston, doesn't he? And they had no business playing football. Kind of like St. Scholastica has no business playing in the MIAC. But I was writing something the other day that caused when I wrote that thing about Jackson Erdmann playing in Vienna. The quarterback for Barcelona, which has got a good team, is Zach Edwards, who was the starting quarterback at St. Scholastica when St. John's edged them 98-0 when they played each other in that game. When they went to Kurt Rambler, the coach, the referees at halftime, and said, St. John's says, they're all in on this. Let's play running time. And Rambler wouldn't do it. So he just sat there and, had his team get beat 98-0 instead of run the clock. So.
Pat, last thing before we wrap up here, you gave me Blackbird, which was an unbelievable show that I love so much. Is there anything else you are now watching that you recommended that you've just recently started?
What have we? What Katie got going on? I'd never watched it in its entirety. I've just seen snippets of it. She got going on Boardwalk Empire the other day.
Buscemi.
And it's terrific.
Yes.
I mean, there was one where I dropped in and dropped out and never really watched it faithfully, but it's Buscemi at his best, man.
Oh God,
Buscemi, it's that's what I don't have a new one right now. I don't think.
Okay.
I don't have a new one right now. So Blackbird was fantastic. What I don't know if you have this one. This is not up my usual alley, right? Irma Vep.
Okay.
8-part series. It's an 8-part series made from a movie that they made in 1995, which is a remake of a silent movie from the 1910s or 1920. And it's funky, but the guy who plays the crazed director is great. The gal who plays Irma Vep, the vampire, is pretty good, and I liked it. My wife couldn't stand it, but I liked it. But then again, as Terry Ryan once said, from now on, anything you recommend, we're going to make sure not to watch. He and his wife went to a couple of my movie recommendations. He hated them.
I love
it. He hated them. So I'm not. My tastes are a little different than most people. So
all right, Pat.
anyhow,
Well, on Thursday,
who we
I
got
believe we'll have a
chucking
guy
for the
tonight.
Twins tonight? Who's on the hill?
Isn't
tonight?
it sunny? I think
sunny.
it's
Sunny.
because Ryan pitched last night. I believe it's sunny.
You're right. It's sunny. It's sunny.
So hopefully we won't be walking the plank here. Let's see what happens.
Okay.
Sunny. All right, Pat. We'll talk Thursday.
All right. Goodbye.
We'll do. Wrap with Reusse, presented by our friends at Federated Mutual Insurance Company. They've been along for almost as old as Pat is. They're helping businesses discover what they need. Find out more of what industries they do protect at federatedinsurance.com.